Good morning, everyone. I'm Katie Steiner here with meteorologist Chris Franklin. Welcome to August 14th. Oh wait, it's October, but it feels like August out there. It is so hot.
It could be a lot worse.
How? It's October.
I don't know, not a lot.
Middle of October.
I know.
And it still feels like summer.
It still feels like summer. Fall is on the way.
Yeah, you've been saying that for the last month.
Well, eventually it's going to get here.
I hope so.
So, by mid-August, I could say fall is on the way.
It's true.
It's always on the way.
We just never know when it's coming.
We just never know. I like to keep you guessing. Yeah, go ahead. Walk in front of the camera. You were going to. All right.
Big day, and right now polls are open across Louisiana. You can cast your vote in today's primary elections. We're keeping a close eye on the mayoral race. A total of 18 candidates are running to be the next mayor of New Orleans. Michael Bagneris, Latoya Cantrell, and Desiree Charbonnet are considered the front runners for this race, and there are lots of city council races as well. The polls opened at 7 this morning, and they close at 8 o'clock tonight. Be sure to stay with WWL TV for all of your election coverage. It starts right when the polls close at 8 o'clock tonight here on Channel 4. You can also follow us at WWLTV.com, our app, and also our social media for all of the latest. An internal investigation has been launched into the death of the New Orleans police officer's Marcus McNeil's death. A man shot and killed 29-year-old McNeil in the line of duty just after midnight last night. It happened near Terra Lane and Lake Forest Boulevard in New Orleans East. 4 officers were on patrol when they saw something suspicious and then stopped. When they got out of the car, the shooting started. McNeil was hit with multiple bullets and dropped to the ground. EMS rushed him to UMC where he later died. McNeil is survived by his wife and 2 young kids. The suspect, Darren Bridges, has been booked with first-degree murder. And Officer McNeil's death is a shock to so many people who knew him, including his classmates at St. Augustine High School, and also a member of our WWL TV family. Photojournalist Vincent Lewis was McNeil's college roommate. Carice Jackman spoke with Vince and a member of his St. Aug class who are really having a hard time coping with this loss. Lewis says that even when Officer McNeil was in college studying to be an accountant, being an NOPD officer was always something Officer McNeil talked about, and he was proud that his friend was able to achieve his lifelong dream. Now, this is the second New Orleans police officer in the last 2 years who was shot and killed in the line of duty. On June 20th, 2015, Officer Darrell Holloway was shot while taking a suspect to jail. That's when police say the suspect, Travis Boyes, grabbed Holloway's gun and shot him. Boyes is currently in jail awaiting trial. Now, a Kenner man has been found guilty of killing his longtime girlfriend's daughter and then dumping her body in a drainage ditch. The judge handed down the verdict yesterday for 41-year-old Daniel Beckley in the death of 16-year-old Joran White. He's also accused of sexually abusing the teenager. Now, White's mom left her with Beckley while she worked her overnight job back on April 21st, 2016. Her body was found 3 days later in a ditch in St. Rose. Beckley now faces mandatory life in prison. And former New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin is asking a federal judge to throw out his corruption conviction. Acting as his own attorney, Nagin filed a motion on Wednesday to, quote, vacate, set aside, or correct, end quote, his 10-year sentence. Nagin says this case is similar to the Supreme Court's recent decision regarding former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell. He had his corruption conviction overturned on the grounds that the interpretation of corruption in the case was too broad. Nagin's case was reassigned Thursday to another judge because the judge who had his last trial retired last year. And there's a new superintendent for the New Orleans Sewage and Water Board. The board voted to promote Bruce Adams from deputy superintendent to interim general superintendent. The agency has been a wreck since the rainstorms flooded the city this summer, and it has decided to leave the other open positions open for now. This superintendent position had to be filled in order for contracts to be signed. Adams' promotion came on the same day that the agency lost its chief financial officer, Robert Miller. And dozens of pallets of essential items are headed to Puerto Rico to help with the storm recovery. Just how much Louisiana residents stepped up to help this U.S. territory next. Welcome back. People here in Louisiana, per usual, have really stepped up to the plate to help the victims of Hurricane Maria victims in Puerto Rico. Governor John Bel Edwards said that a statewide drive collected hundreds of thousands of items to the U.S. territory. You donated things like diapers, baby wipes, and other essential care products. The donations filled up 100 pallets. The Louisiana National Guard is bringing those items to Puerto Rico. And more than 300 National Guard troops and other state emergency personnel have actually traveled to the island to help with recovery efforts. And tomorrow, the Louisiana SPCA wants your help emptying out their shelter. It's waiving all adoption fees for all the animals at their shelter located at 1700 Mardi Gras Boulevard. All adoptions will include an up-to-date vaccines, spay and neutering, and microchipping. The Empty the Shelter event goes on from 10 a.m. tomorrow until 5 p.m. So, Chris?
That's really good.
That means that you need to go and get a cat or a dog.
I'm allergic to cats, so
maybe
that's not
both.
going to happen. Maybe a ferret.
Ooh, I like the
I don't know if
ferret
they have
idea.
any ferrets there.
I don't know.
I'm just
Maybe
saying.
bunnies.
They usually
I
do
think
have
a bunny
bunnies.
would be
They usually
fun.
do have bunnies.
You have a 2-year-old. I bet she would love a
Yeah.
bunny.
That sounds great. Miniature dachshund, 2-year-old, and a bunny.
A bunny.
Yeah,
I
you don't
think
have enough
that's
going
great.
on in the house right now
I
without
know.
a bunny added to the mix.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Great weather for it.
Would
tomorrow.
a bunny like the weather?
don't
Or
know.
not really? Do you keep bunnies inside or outside? I
have
would
no
think
idea.
outside, but
You think?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Seems like the coyotes would get them.
Well, no, you put it in a cage, you
Oh, I
goofball.
see.
The coyotes wouldn't get them in a
I don't
cage.
know if they just roam free. I don't know.
Welcome back. Computers are now helping companies decide who they should hire. But these computer programs aren't just looking at your resume. Chris Martinez shows us how it all works. That's so interesting. Well, we have a lot more coming up in the next half hour of the show. Many Americans are going to be looking at a medical plan that's right for them as Medicare open enrollment is set to open up. And wildfires in Northern California are the deadliest in the state's history. Details on why it could get worse coming up. And the demise of the typewriter might be on hold as business is booming at the country's last manufacturer. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It looks beautiful outside. Again, it's so nice.
It is.
A little hot though.
It is a little on the hot side.
Yeah, you
And
keep telling us we're having this cool front, and so many people are asking, where's that
when
cool front?
We're waiting.
I'm first in line to know when my cool front is coming, that you have promised me for a month now.
It was a little less humid yesterday during the day. Not
that
at
actually,
night.
That is true. I did notice that, and I really appreciated that.
If you lower that humidity even by a few degrees, it makes all the difference in the world. That's the problem today. We'll get into the upper 80s, but we also have the humidity.
Boo.
But tomorrow, kind of the transition day, our rain chances go up. Not
Okay.
a washout of a day,
That's
so
better.
tailgating, it won't be bad.
Chris, thank you so much. President Trump is decertifying the Iran nuclear deal. He says that it's not in the United States' best security interest. Seth Lemon has more details from the White House. Senator Corker says that he expects to be able to introduce the new legislation within 2 weeks. Now in Northern California, the weather is not helping firefighters fight more than 20 wildfires. The air is still really dry, the ground is still dry, and they are expecting lots of wind. And all of those things really help fires spread. More than 35 people have died, and now the deadliest week of wildfires in California history. More than 9,000 firefighters are working trying to put out the flames that have devastated the state's famed wine country. In just 2 days, the fires have produced as much pollution as all the cars in California produce in just a year. Medicare open enrollment begins on Sunday, and most Americans will take a look at their insurance options and decide what to do with their health care coverage for next year. For a lot of people, that will happen in November with their employer, but for older and disabled Americans with Medicare coverage, that process begins now. The annual Medicare open enrollment period runs until December 7th. Sexual assault allegations against Harvey Weinstein continues. Today, the Board of Governors for the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences will review Weinstein's membership in an emergency meeting. Just this week, the movie mogul's own company cut ties with the co-founder. His wife is leaving him as celebrities and politicians continue to speak out against the allegations. And Ford is saying that it will offer free inspections on all Explorers. The move comes in response to concern over exhaust inside the SUV. Several different police departments pulled the SUVs off the road following reports of carbon monoxides inside the cabin. The free inspections will start in November. And Americans seem to be optimistic about the economy. Researchers at the University of Michigan say it's a measure of consumer sentiment rose to its highest level since 2004. And the Commerce Department reported retail sales showing that their strongest growth in 2.5 years. And the happiest place on earth is now dog friendly. Starting this week, you can bring your dog to 4 Disney Resorts hotels in Orlando. For an extra fee, owners will also get a welcome kit, which includes a mat, bowls, and more. Disney says that its doggy guests must be properly vaccinated and very well behaved. Federal authorities are receiving an increasing number of reports of sunroofs shattering while people are driving, and they don't know what's causing the problem. Kenneth Craig has the results of this Consumer Reports investigation. Terrifying. I guess just stick with a smaller sunroof. A new kind of eye care therapy that experts say is the start of a new revolution. Details on the gene therapy to treat hereditary blindness coming up. Welcome back. Here's a look at some of the week's top health headlines. More Americans are turning to meditation instead of medication. The popularity of meditation and mindfulness has exploded in recent years. But a panel of experts at Brown University says that the field is at a critical crossroads where there is too much hype and not enough rigor. Meditation is being used for everything from depression to addiction, but researchers say that dependable scientific evidence is in short supply. A Food and Drug Administration panel is recommending the approval of a gene therapy to treat hereditary blindness. Spark Therapeutics says it can improve some people's vision by replacing a defective gene. The FDA's final decision is due by mid-January. And obesity is still a huge problem here in the United States, but it may have peaked. According to the Center of Disease Control, nearly 40% of adult Americans are obese, along with another 20% of all children. Researchers say that the numbers appear to have leveled off since 2014. The thyroid gland in your neck regulates everything from metabolism to heart, digestion, muscles, and brain development to bone maintenance. And even though it does so much, thyroid problems aren't always talked about. Meg Ferris talks to one woman who says that needs to change. I don't know anything about the thyroid.
Thyroid does a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, there were so many things that they were talking about. I was like, oh.
You know what it doesn't do? Change the temperature.
Yeah, can you do that?
Maybe your body temperature, I don't know, it might, but not outside temperature.
They were talking about body
See?
temperature.
So it does that.
Chris wasn't paying attention. He was thinking about the weather.
I was thinking about the weather.
And unfortunately, you can't change it for us. Otherwise,
no, can't do anything about it.
I would be very mad at you at this point if you could.
Making it like this? No, believe me, I want it cold. And we knew it was going to be. The climate outlooks had us under kind of a mild fall and winter.
So winter is going to be mild too?
Yes, it looks like it will
No
probably
snow
be.
for us?
No, I don't think so. We'll get some cool snaps and hopefully the timing will work out.
I can take
it's
that.
kind of one of those, if we can get a front to move through just in time for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Ha ha ha, Chris is making fun of my Minnesota roots. Well, computers, phones, iPads, and digital watches are all over the place. But some Americans are going old school. Nikki Batiste shows us how people across the country are dusting off their typewriters. Don't mind us, as Chris is typing on his typewriter.
I'm working on my forecast.
He's going to type his forecast on a
I'm
typewriter.
going to post this on social media in a minute.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
I don't know how.
You do realize it doesn't work.
My dearest Katie. What?
We'll be
That's
right
stuck.
back.
Sorry.
Well, we are still pretty obsessed with our typewriter. And when I say we, I mean Chris. You are so fascinated by this.
It is.
Here's the problem. So we figured out the typewriter actually works, but the
Yes.
thing that moves it
No, the bar doesn't.
So that's a problem when you want to type things. So we've been typing
keeps
and then
going into
here, show them
this.
what you were doing in the break.
What?
You were typing and then moving.
Oh, then
it
having
over.
to
Yeah.
manually push this.
He's
over.
writing his daughter's name,
Yeah.
but he has to type here, type it.
Type
Yeah.
and then
Move it over.
move it over a little bit. L, U, and move it over.
Woohoo.
C, move it over. Y, Lucy.
Wow, so exciting. This typewriter has got to be 60 years old, right?
Easily. This is definitely I would guess 50s, because it's not electric. And I did learn in high school, I was the last class at Brother Martin to use a typewriter.
And Chris is kind of a history buff. I don't know if
I
many
love
people know
history, so
that.
this is pretty cool. Apparently this was found somewhere in our building, so this is one of the
Wow.
old news, I guess.
It's one of our props now that
It
we
is a
have
prop
back in
on
the
the
back.
morning set. We're gonna have to go put it back.
But it does work. It works.
Sorry, morning crew.
If it's not here tomorrow,
You'll know why it's at my
it's
house.
at Chris's house
Because I kind of like it. I kind of like
Even
it.
though it doesn't work. But you have to teach Lucy how to use this.
High temperatures in the upper 80s.
Cool front coming.
Cold front Monday.
Why don't we type like a normal person as opposed to... Thanks for joining us.